Alright everybody, we're back at it again on our final stop before we rank every Steve Vai album. And of course, that means we're talking about his newest album. Finally, I've been wanting to do it, been itching to do it. Because, man, Inviolate, right here, the newest Steve Vai album that came out literally this month. So, really, really cool, very, very fresh album. And, I just kind of had to hold in my thoughts about it until right here. And, so we're going to kick it off with this final Steve Vai album review before we, of course, do the ranking in a couple of days there. And also, we'll announce the next band that we'll be talking about. With all that being said, here we go with Steve Vai's Inviolate. Really, really cool album cover. Really simple, but not quite that simple because he's got his freaking new instrument, new guitar, the Hydra. And man, it's got a harp on it, bass, 7-string guitar. It's fretless bass on I think half of the fretboard. It's just nuts, absolutely nuts. This is another thing where it's like, of course, Steve, would come up with something like this. And man, just really cool packaging on it. Got him going back there. So just really cool stuff. And we kick it off with Teeth of the Hydra. Speaking of that freaking badass instrument he's got right there, that guitar, harp, the Hydra, perfect name for it. And really this track right here, it's just showing off what that whole thing's about. So it's an incredible opener to kick off the album because you get to hear, that harp going on with Steve, even do a little bit of the bass stuff on here, 7-string guitar, a little bit of acoustics. I mean, it's just all over, but it's not all over the place. It's all there, it mixed in this just perfect way to make a badass song and a hell of an opener with so many layers to it, considering, all the pieces that went into this thing on this Hydra. He's just using and taking advantage of all of it. It's got different options on the sides too. You can do it, just looks incredible. I would love to have one, but obviously that'll probably never happen. This may just be the only one ever made. Who knows? And even if it does get made, it's probably thousands of dollars. But, hey, at least we can look at it right here. We can look at Steve and when he's playing it, So, but yeah, just really, really cool. He got to show off this thing, and I think that was a really cool way to kind of introduce the Hydra with the track Teeth of the Hydra. So, hell of an opener. Just incredible stuff. Then we go on to Zeus and Chains. This might be my freaking favorite off here, guys. I mean, listen here. This one has got this epic, grand feel to it, with just this really, really nice, cool melody. And as it's kind of grooving along, it ends up going in, it ends up getting this breakdown where, to me, it sounds like, well, really the whole song overall, it sounds like, the gods kind of battling. I love the visualizer that whenever he dropped the single, Zeus and Chains, the visualizer that went with it. And I'm not really a big music video guy, but the visualizer he dropped went perfect with the song Zeus and Chains. And the whole thing really captures, how that song, the feel of that song really well. And which is feels like, the gods battling or something. And then it breaks down with this heavy, distorted riff. It almost sounds like thunder's crashing down, from Zeus. And it's just man. And then he gets this wailing sound, almost like a whale call or something. That it's he must be doing some kind of slide method or something. But man, and it just sounds out of this world, like some kind of horn from the heavens or something. That it just, that song blows me the hell away. Whenever because this was one of the first singles he dropped, before the album came out. And I was like, oh my God. Or in fact, it may have been the last single he dropped beforehand. Because he had a Little Pretty, Candle Power, some stuff like that. So I think it may have been a Knapsack. So I think this was the last one before the album actually came out. And it just blew me the hell away. And I've just been jammed into that freaking song. Just such an incredible piece. It's already become one of my favorite Steve Vai songs of all freaking time. Zeus and Chains is where it's at. Then we go on to another single that he released called A Little Pretty. And this one, it's like it sounds. It's a little pretty, It's got a fun kind of little groove to it and everything. Ends up getting and he's kind of noodling all over the place, going nuts, doing his shreddy thing like he does, but all in kind of a clean kind of tone. And then, you know, it ends up picking up, getting a little bit heavier in the midst of it there. Not too much, not to like the extent of a Zeus and Chains heavy riff and crazy stuff, but it picks up a little bit, gets a little bit bluesier near the end and a little funky. Just a really, really cool and, you know, pun all intended, a really, really pretty track. It ain't just a little pretty, it's really freaking pretty. That's an awesome song. I dug that one. It's really complex track too. So, Little Pretty is another incredible freaking song on here. Then we get the first single that dropped, and you know, Vi, whenever this one dropped, oh, and before I continue, yeah, this is an all instrumental album too, which obviously I've been praising Vi's singing voice for, you know, all throughout this thing, and he's awesome at it. But you know, I think I'm cool with him just dropping a straight up instrumental record again. It's been a little while, but yeah. Anyways, Candle Power, whenever that first dropped, because that dropped like late last year, and I obviously it was a single, but you know he's dropped just like singles and stuff before that never went on an album, like with the whole iTunes thing that he had those singles that were coming out on iTunes years ago. That none of those were ever really featured on an actual album. So I didn't know maybe if this song Candle Power was just going to be like a single he drops. I loved it from the beginning of it. Really, really, really cool and kind of a peaceful kind of sound to it, you know, and it's just got a really, really nice flow to it. And yeah, sure enough, and see, I didn't really know. See, even whenever that single did drop last year, I didn't know that there was going to be an album accompanying it, you know, and even whenever the album came out, and I first listened to it, and I was, you know, looking at the track list, I'm like, oh, okay, well, here it is. Candle Power made the cut. So I was really, really stoked to see that. Another one of my favorites off here for sure. It's just got a really nice vibe going on with it. Really cool and really just got just a really nice flow, really free flowing track is Candle Power. So another just incredible one. And this album ain't that long because we only got a couple more here. Four more songs to cover. It's only an 8-track album. I think it's like 45 minutes total, which is, you know, quite a bit shorter than, you know, some of his more recent releases, like Modern Primitive was pretty lengthy, and Story of Light and all that. But I'm cool with it, you know, being short and sweet like this. So we go to Apollo in Color, and man, this one is just balls to the wall, freaking crazy. I love it, man. He's going nuts on here. Another kind of heavier track, and just really jazz fusiony. You know, there's just all kinds of crazy stuff going on. You got Stu Ham on bass on here going freaking nuts. He's got pretty much on here, I think in the liner notes here, he's got a majority of the people that he does play with, like Terry Bozzio's on drums on their track. Billy Sheehan he'll appear on the next track we talk about. But Apollo in Color is one of them like just jazz fusion tracks that's just like nuts all over the place, all kinds of crazy time changes and such that just makes for just a fantastic track and a really fun one to be jamming to and just like taking in. It's like, man. So, oh man, an incredible one. Then speaking of the track with Billy Sheehan, you know, my favorite bass player of all time, you know, teaming up with my favorite guitar player of all time, which they've done a ton of times in the past, you know, David Lee Roth, and they've been in the G3 tour together, all that stuff. And even Steve has appeared on some of Billy's albums and stuff, but these two craft a freaking, just an incredibly hooky, this is probably the hookiest track on here. The melody that they've got in this track, Avalanche, is just, man, it gets caught in your head, just the way, and it's almost like a really, really uplifting track, and of course you're getting badass bass work from Billy. Then it's got like a synthesizer backed behind the guitar that Steve's laying down, you know, maybe even a synthesizer effect on his guitar that's going on, to where it just sounds like, man, just super clean and fresh, almost futuristic in a way, and just really driving that main melody you got going on here. Incredible solo, of course. These two just, every time Billy and Steve work together on something, it's just magic, you know, and this is no different, and this might just be my favorite off here. That along with Zeus and Chains, because I'm telling you, Avalanche, I could not believe this one. This one wasn't even released as a single, and man, I just could not believe whenever I got to it here, you know, it's like the 6th track, And I'm just like, whoa, that could have been a freaking single, because it's just that main melody again, just it drives the whole freaking thing home, and it's a beautiful, beautiful song. Then we go on to Greenish Blues, and another one that does sound like kind of a lot of, sounds like what it's called. Really, really bluesy kind of track here, which I'm all down for. I love when he kind of does a little bit of that bluesy stuff. And, maybe the Greenish he's thrown in there is all his kind of, kinks with it and everything that he throws in, his Steve or Vi-isms, so to speak. How he's got a very distinct sound, obviously. And just a really, really cool bluesy track that's got a nice groove to it. This is another one that's a big highlight for me off here. Love, love, love jamming in this thing. And it's just, this is another one I could totally have seen being a single. It's, oh, hold up, guys. Here we go. Gotta let my dog in. Y'all have seen her on here before. A while back. Come on. Yep, she just joined the party on here. So, where are you going, Zoe? Alright, sorry about that. Anyways, yeah, we got this just incredible, incredible track with Greenish Blues. Really, really bluesy stuff. Again, one of those really free-flowing ones that is just, I could have seen that one being a single, because it's got just a really, it's also got a really, really cool melody to it. Then we go with another one of the singles off here, Knapsack, which is insane because Steve played it with his left freaking hand, that's all. Even in the video for this one, when he dropped that single, he had shoulder surgery. So then he, just was like, why not challenge myself and, go ahead and make a song anyways. And he's just shredding. I mean, he's got to be tapping the guitar really hard, too, to be doing all this stuff the whole time. And it's just a sight to be seen. I mean, I just can't freaking believe he did this much crazy stuff on Knapsack. Another one of my favorites off here because, if you didn't know that he only recorded it with one hand, then guess what? Or if you didn't see the video for it, you would have no clue. Sounds like just normal stuff Steve does. Just the crazy shredding and stuff, but yeah, it's with one hand, so keeping that in mind, it makes this song like a really interesting listen on here, and it's a huge standout for me. Love Knapsack, awesome stuff. Then we go and end it up and wrap it on up with Sandman, Cloud Mist, and man, you talk about an epic way to end. Really, really beautiful. A lot of offbeat time signatures and such. Give me just a second, guys. Now she's wanting out. I can't really make up her mind. There we go. Alright, sorry about that. We're back at it. But yeah, Sandman, Cloud Mist is just a beautiful song with all kinds of awkward time changes and just but in a good way, just offbeat time changes, not really awkward ones. They fit perfectly in the flow of this one. It's got some really fantastic shred stuff. Also with kind of like your really, really tranquil kind of Steve Vai song that, he loves to do. Kind of reminds me of Blue Powder, that track off Passion Warfare in a way. The way it's kind of, got a little bit of the bluesy stuff with the offbeat kind of stuff going on, and then just kind of evolves and grows. It becomes something so much bigger than it. And, even just the ending of this thing, it just has like a beautiful, beautiful way to finish the album and wrap it up. And, Steve, you succeeded because this album is freaking incredible. I mean, oh my God, what a album to start off the year for releases. I'm excited to see what a bunch of other artists are going to do, and I'm excited to see what Steve's got coming up, on his next album, whenever that ends up getting announced or comes out or whatever. Because this thing right here is just absolutely incredible. Amazing release. I was, more than impressed. I mean, just Steve is always, pushing the bar and doing and just changing stuff up. None of his albums sound the same. They're all have got their own distinct kind of feel to them. I'd maybe say Flexible and Flexible Leftovers kind of have, those ones are similar, but obviously because that's like leftover stuff, that was completely finished and didn't, make the cut in the album or whatever. But, so those obviously have a, similar, if not the same kind of feel to them. But besides that, you look at like Sex and Religion, totally different sound than this one. Passion Warfare, totally different sound. Story of Light, Ultrazone, all that stuff, they all have their own sound to them, their own identity, and that's just the beauty of his discography. As we've ran through this thing, And, super hyped to be ranking this, his stuff coming up in the next video. And it's going to be quite the challenge, as always. These always are, for me, really, really tough. Some have been more, harder than the others. Some have had, like, more of a, like, I know what the number one spot is, and it's, like, filling in those middle spots. It's hard. This one, man, I'm telling you, this has been one of those ones that it's just difficult, like, all the way around the board, ranking this stuff. Because, if you followed along, I've for the most part, really enjoyed these albums all the way through, each of these albums in their own way. So it's gonna be a tough ranking, but guys, we're gonna do it, and we're gonna do it next time. Inviolate has been reviewed. Go out and get this thing and support this just freaking virtuoso musician, guitar player. It's absolutely incredible. You will not be disappointed, I tell you. And no, I'm not paid by Steve Vai to say that. That'd be cool if I was. But yeah, just incredible album. And I would love to hear, and maybe if you guys don't like it, again, that's cool too. I totally get it. This type of thing's not for everybody. But if for you guys who've listened to it down there, or maybe plan to listen to it, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on it. And we can talk about this thing. It's always fun talking about new albums, new releases that kind of dropped. I know we talked a lot about like Senjutsu when it came out, when I was doing the Iron Maiden thing. So it's fun to talk about these newer releases. So yeah, leave a like, subscribe, and comment down there, guys. And next time, again, we're ranking these bad boys. All the Steve Vai albums ranked, and we'll be announcing the next band we'll be looking at, which again will kind of be a short, kind of in between one that I do. Like usually it's either like a band with just a couple albums, like when I did Mr. Mister, or it could just be a band with one album, like GTR. Well, this time, a little bit of a spoiler alert. It's gonna be a band with just two albums, so that can keep you, keep your mind maybe thinking. I know there's a lot of bands who just have two albums, but you can maybe throw some guesses down there. And I might, if maybe someone does guess it, I might just put a little heart in that comment there, and just leave it at that. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, stay tuned, guys, and thanks for watching.